Today I thought we would look at the MDC-USA trailers and just go over how they are off-grid capable. Now, you're gonna hear terms like Overland or adventure trailer or off-grid or off-road. So let's maybe break that down a little bit, because there are actually pretty wide definitions across the community on what is overland and what is adventure trailer. So depending on your circle, your input, your use case, you might occupy a different space within that definition. So we're gonna go through this and maybe you make up your mind if this is in fact overland or adventure trailer or just an off-road luxury trailer. Whatever your definition is, we're gonna look at some of the components that make it capable to leave the manicured pavement, go to some really neat places, and make sure that you're safe, comfortable, and can get back for planning the next adventure. Let's get into it. So today I thought that we would cover how the MDC-USA trailers are designed to be able to handle really great travel, but through varied weather conditions and road or lack of road conditions. Go where you intend your tow vehicle goes. So wherever your tow vehicle goes under your direction, your trailer should be able to go there too for this type of travel and be set up to safely do so. Speaking of safely, it needs to be able to handle, yes, the off-road safety components, but also it needs to be legal and ready to handle highway conditions as well as you cover those many miles. So weather capable, terrain capable, self-reliant, and able to make sure you cover your bases from a fun standpoint, but also a confidence standpoint. That's what we're gonna get into. And we're gonna start with how it rides, depending on ground clearance and how it follows your tow vehicle. Let's get into it. One thing that you're gonna hear pretty often in the overland adventure trailer or just off-road community, if you're gonna have a trailer, you want it to be able to travel where your tow vehicle does, or where you intend for your tow vehicle to travel. Now, a lot of these larger, let's just say off-road luxury style trailers, they are bigger than what many people would consider an overland trailer or an adventure trailer, but they share some of the same notions that help them to get to some neat places. One of them being obviously ground clearance. Now, you typically, when you want your trailer to go to neat places, you typically want to make sure that that trailer has roughly the same ground clearance as your tow vehicle. That gives you an understanding if your tires can get over it without dragging that center line in your vehicle or any of the dangling equipment. You want your trailer to be able to navigate the same paths, the same trail, same ruts that your tow vehicle is also managing. So ground clearance is one way that you do that is obviously the suspension. So I'm going to hop over to the suspension real quick and we're going to have a few points there. Now, MDC accomplishes ground clearance and the ability to handle rough terrain with their TOUGH TRAX suspension. Now, that is a true independent trailing arm suspension with really nice beefy springs and shock absorbers, and that gives you a lot of articulation on both of those to keep you planted, you know, some sure-footedness to your trailer. But they couple that with these mega hubs that they have built specifically for them. That gives you a large enough hub and a large enough wheel, and this aspect ratio on the tire between this suspension, this mega hub, and a large tire that is designed for that terrain that you plan to go on, it gives you more ground clearance. So articulation, height, ground clearance, and let's add to that that if you are going to be navigating some rough spots, you want it to be protected. So underneath, you're going to find shielding on anything there. So it's nice and protected, whether it be your tanks or any of the wiring or anything like that. I guess one more thing I'd like to add while we're here is there are 12-inch brakes on these wheels. So obviously it's a large enough trailer that it's required by law in the US to have brakes on it, but they didn't mess around. These are 12-inch disc brakes, so you're pretty confident on the highway and off-road. Let's head over to the tongue and see what else we can find there regarding tractability, the ability to follow your tow vehicle where you want to go. Now, keeping in line with our discussion on the ability of the trailer to go where you intend your tow vehicle to go safely and with a sure-footedness, is this right here. An off-road trailer, an adventure trailer, an overlanding trailer, you want it to be obviously securely fastened to your tow vehicle, but you know that that tow vehicle is going to be really undulating, maneuvering a lot with uneven terrain, and not exactly at the same time in the exact same motion as your trailer, because it's obviously reaching those same elements a few feet later. So a 360 style full capture setup like this DO35 is optimal. A standard ball will go probably 90% of the places most people go, even if they're leaving the highway a little bit. However, once you exceed the limits of that ball's ability to maneuver freely without binding up and causing, you know, pressure that could pop it out or, you know, break the capture system, you really need something that can handle that type of motion. There are people who build trailers and all that, and they use a ball mount, standard ball mount, for forever, and it works fine for them, but it's fine for them where they're going. That might be you, that might be me. But something that can really give you extreme levels of articulation like that, or rotate really all the way around, that gives you so much more capability between the ride height, the suspension, and this ability to rotate in so many different ways. That is something that I would say is a very common element on trailers that can really do things beyond the standard. Look for something like the DO35 that is on the MDC-USA. I'm going to tell you a few more things while we're here. Now, I mentioned some of the safety going on with this trailer by mentioning those 12-inch disc brakes. One thing that sometimes has to occur when you're on trail or off trail is that you have to reposition your tow vehicle, disconnect, reposition to get a better angle to get through or out of a situation. Disconnecting from a trailer in an off-road situation presents some things to be considered. You want to make sure the trailer's not going to roll somewhere when you disconnect. I always love to have a way to chalk the tires for such a situation, but also this is a handbrake that allows you to manually engage those 12-inch disc brakes as well. So a little bit more safety and assurance that goes along with those brakes. So that's really great and well. Another few things is making sure that things aren't dangling down that you aren't aware of or could cause problems. Ability to get this heavy-duty wheel out of the way quickly and easily. You don't have to crank all the way up and down. You can crank it just enough to get clearance and then rotate it out of the way, lock it into place, so you have something that is easy to use, gets out of the way in a very positive, sturdy manner, and it's safe. I really do enjoy that. Now, I want to start talking about the ability to be self-reliant. That's part of the component that people who are interested in overland trailers and adventure trailers really lean on. So whether you consider a larger kind of off-road luxury trailer to be in the overland or adventure trailer category, that's up to you again. However, from a self-reliance standpoint, I like that MDC builds in, and this is just a component of it, DC to DC charging into all of their trailers. Now, what that does is it adds a piece of equipment that really enhances your tow vehicle's ability to send charge into power to charge up the battery bank aboard. Your standard 7-pin like this, it's kind of the industry standard, but it doesn't send a very strong charge through the 12-volt system in this 7-pin plug to charge that battery. So it's not fast is what I'm trying to get to. It's not robust and fast. By adding a DC to DC charger, it's already in this trailer, and then a associated connector and wiring to your tow vehicle, you can get a much more substantial charge, more strength, more speed, going right into that DC to DC charger to more quickly charge up that battery system. Really good for off-grid, overlanding, adventure trailering applications. I personally love this. I've put it in my own trailer, and it's really cool that MDC-USA puts it in there to make sure that you can get out there and self-sustain for some time. I think it's probably a good time to head inside and talk a little bit more about your self-reliance capabilities in a trailer like this. In the discussion of self-reliance while you're out and about with an adventure style trailer or an off-grid or an off-road trailer is oftentimes the discussion of how you're going to power your things in a modern way. So there's always the discussion of how much solar is on top or can be expanded using detached solar, but also the battery bank to store and deliver that power to your system. So MDC-USA has always put in large batteries. This particular MDC-USA, this is an XC16HR, has a 200 amp hour lithium ion battery, and they're using a BM Pro Battery Plus management system for all of their 12 volt system. It's a really good system, proven for many years in the Australian outback. Now you're going to find in some of their newer models, they are actually moving to a full Renogy system, whether it be the system, the solar on top and the batteries and all the charging and inverters. So it is all modern, really sturdy, very cool equipment. There's also a lot of water capacity because that's part of being self-reliant. So this has 42 gallons of freshwater capacity. That means that you can stay out there for a great amount of time. So self-reliance, the ability to run your power, your gadgets, your gizmos, keep your food cool and whatnot, and do the things you want to, plus the water, that's a big component built into every MDC trailer. I have a few more things to cover outside and we'll wrap this up. Now things just happen when you're traveling off-grid, so you want to be prepared. That's part of the confidence that you want built into whatever rig you're running. Well, part of the confidence is having backups of a few things like tires. These are full-size, exact same tires and mega hubs that you'll find on the trailer already on the ground. There's also recovery points built into every MDC trailer. So, as we talked about before, sometimes you just have to reposition to get out of a sticky situation. MDC knows that. They want you to have confidence when you go have fun and come back. So that's part of it. Now, we talked a little bit about safety with those 12-inch brakes and whatnot. I want to add to that they have an asymmetric sway control system. That is an amazing system that you don't find on too many trailers, but this one's really cool because when you're at highway speed, that's where you find people worried about maybe experiencing a little bit of sway on the highway. So with an asymmetrical system, it actually actuates the brakes on just the side that's needed at the right amount to tackle that sway real fast. You're confident down the road. But off-roaders will say, I don't want that. When I leave the pavement, I want that to go silent. Well, that's another thing built into this system that MDC-USA puts on here. It can sense when you're slow enough and you've left the nice manicured pavement, if you will, that it will go into basically a standby mode where it's just monitoring for when you re-enter a highway situation with smoother pavement and higher speeds. So it is no longer your middleman on your braking situation. So I think we've covered some aspects. Now you're gonna have to do the math for yourself, what it means to you, if it is an overland trailer, an adventure trailer, or just a luxury off-grid, off-road trailer. I think that this is a neat option MDC-USA brings to the table for couples, for families, that covers a lot of the robustness, the strength, the ground clearance, the reliability, the fact that you can go confidently to so many places, and it's self-reliant enough, safe enough. Check them out and make the determination for yourself. Go ahead and tell us in the comments. Does this fit the bill for you on what you think of as an overland trailer? Yes, no, and why? Or does it more fit just an adventure trailer? Same thing. Or is it, no, that's not Overland, that's not adventure, that's luxury off-road. All good and well. Give us your thoughts in the comments below, because no matter which way you cut it, what category you put it in, it's a well-built, really cool option available to you in North America. We have them here at Princess Craft. This is the Round Rock location in Texas. We also have a location in Katy, Texas. It's been cool showing it to you this time. A real pleasure. We will see you next time.